First off, my job is to be funny. Um, so when I get criticized, I have to take it on the chin. I have to understand where it's coming from, and then I have to decide, well, what am I going to do about said criticism, right? So this is how to handle criticism from this is a geographer's guide, okay? How do you handle criticism? A geographer's guide, okay? So the way I've maneuvered and meandered through the fallouts, the misfortunes, the upsets, the anger, the frustration is that, and this is where I draw the line in the sand, and that is that I refuse to kowtow and to have to police my discourse because people have decided that their sensitivities trump my abilities to freely express myself. And in an age of HR and sassy culture, it's even more pertinent, more important that you decide to draw the line in the sand for yourself in terms of how you're going to handle criticism. So keep in mind, I'm a very sensitive young man. C-section, no breast milk. Uh, so that unfortunately has allowed me to be very sensitive, and I'm not going to make excuses for that, but that's just the truth. So first thing is you got to take it on the chin. The other thing is too, you have to be able to, if you're going to dish it out, you have to be able to take it back. So for me, for example, one time somebody was capping on my hairline and I took great offense to it, right? And then I assimilated it. I said, you know what? The reality is she's right. She had a point. She got me. It's all right though. I'll get it back. Next time we were out and about in a group, I made sure to destroy her to the point where she would never respond ever again. And so that's the thing, right? You got to learn how to play the game. You take the information that they give you, you collect data, and then you unload as you see fit. The other thing you need to understand is where is the criticism coming from? Many a times I've had people tell me, you take the joke too far. You say inappropriate things. You are too much yourself. You're being too much of a truth teller. You're revealing far too much. It's more than the average person can stomach in any one sitting. And I say to that, and you should think to yourself, what you should say to that is, well, does a person know you more than you know you? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be having a pivot and change who you are according to the person now you're around, you're in for trouble. Because there's one of two things. There's one of two routes you can go. You're either going to go the route of agency or you're going to go the route of victimhood. I remember I got into it with a buddy who was at the time my best friend. And rather than take the criticism on the chin, he decided to go the victimhood route and we stopped being friends thereafter. So it goes to show you which route are you going to take? Okay, because you can't please everyone. The reality is if I took everyone's criticism to heart, I wouldn't even know who I was at the end of it, right? Because I'd have to constantly be turning and watching, mincing my words. And it just wasn't the route that I was willing to go. And sure, you still have to take responsibility for what you say and for what comes out of your mouth. Absolutely. And there's no reason not to be able to apologize or to take back commentary that might offend someone. That's okay. It's always in your interest to be respectful. However, you don't have to completely change who you are because of other people's expectations of what you should conduct yourself as. So I think that's the part that's difficult to decipher is where's the information coming from? Is it coming from the right place? Is it something that I should assimilate and take in? Is it something I should do something about? Because if it isn't, then you're in for one, right? Because then you're going to be changing constantly for every person that wants something different from you. And then it's just like, where do you stop? At that point, it's just like you're just an accumulation of all the different critiques that you've had, right? And then you're just being thrown around like a pinball. So I don't think that that's the route you want to go. And like I said, you got to ask yourself, do they know more than you know you? Because in that case, then you really have to begin to unpack what that even means for yourself. And the thing is too, if you're going to be living with passion, if you're going to exude flair, if you're going to be a drunken optimist, if you're going to be living with intensity and relentless, you inevitably will get pushback because unfortunately what ends up happening is oftentimes what you end up doing is you reveal to people their inabilities to truly be themselves because you're truly being yourself. And that could sometimes ruffle some feathers, that could make people feel bad. And then they come at you and say, well, you need to stop this. And the other thing is too, you have to refuse to capitulate to those demands. Because it is coming from a sassy culture in an attempt to silence you, and to not be able, they want to police your language and your ability to maneuver through discourse. And so I think a lot of this just stems from like HR culture, where people know that there's a referee, that you can get in trouble, that there are consequences to the things you say. And the reality is, if you live with that freedom of speech, then you know that there is no real consequence to what you say, because there's no harm in words, to that effect, right? You're not physically harming someone, so I don't think you should take it that way. But that is my guide to handling criticism. I think it's, you take it on the chin, and you have to decipher whether it's something that you truly want to take in. Maybe there are certain traits that you want to sort of change and get better at. That's okay. But to have to constantly reinvent yourself every time someone criticizes you, I mean, at that point, you're not even yourself anymore, right? You're just an amalgamation of all the things other people have told you to be. And at least for me, I've decided that I'm putting my little foot down, and I'm not going to do that for everyone. Yes, there's certain things that I could be better at. Yes, there's certain aspects of myself I can improve, but the the gist of it is, right, the true nature, the locus of control, the energy in which I emanate, right, the spirit, all those things I refuse to negotiate. That is not up for negotiation for me. And if it means that I have to push certain people away, then so be it, because I think that deep down I know that I'm operating from truly a place of positivity. It's not coming from a negative place. It's not coming from a mean place. And yes, I have my shortcomings. Yes, I get loopy. Yes, I say the wrong thing sometimes. But the thing is, you're not going to have the best of me and the worst of me, and then have to say, well, I don't want these aspects of you, and then I only want these. Well, it's like you can't have one or the other. It's everything or nothing. And that's not up for negotiation. So you got to keep in mind, you got to ask yourself how you want to handle criticism. Do you want to handle it with agency and be proactive about it, or do you want to take the approach of a victim, which is far easier and does not yield the same results that having agency does when it comes to the criticism that you're going to be receiving. And like I said, inevitably you will receive criticism if you're being your authentic self. It's just par for the course. Anybody that's anybody can attest to the fact that they have to get pushback. They constantly get pushback. It's actually a healthy reaction. If you're not getting any pushback, it seems like you're just a yes man. You're going with the crowd. You're not willing to bite your teeth down and stick to your guns and say what you need to say, because you're afraid of the consequences. You're afraid of what's going to be said in response. And like I said, you can always do this tactfully, respectfully, but you can always reveal what you truly feel without having to feel that you're going to be getting into some kind of trouble, or you're not going to please the people around you. You decide, it's your life, but this is my recommendation, and this is the Geographer's Guide to Handling Criticism. I'll see you in the next one.